Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott sitting here along with Councilman Mark Kalwinski. They're a bit ragged right now and looking unshaven and tired, but that's kind of the nature of long-distance travel. But they did go and proselytize about the benefits of investing in the city of Hammond to folks in China, specifically to some groups, I think in Beijing and in Shahi City. You guys gave a
Guangzhou.
And in Guangzou, down in isn't that southern China?
Yeah.
So you gave the presentation. This is Hammond.
We gave three or four. Yeah, four, I think.
Four.
You can tell by the number of suits you wore.
Yeah, all right. So 4 presentations to Chinese business folks.
And high-level government officials and very wealthy investors.
Okay, and you tell them Hammond's a great place. There's a lot of opportunity, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, you have to fear. I mean, they don't fear. They fear the government, but what they're doing is protecting themselves with their money. If they can wake up tomorrow and have nothing, all right. So what they're doing is they view an investment in America as safe, because if everything is stripped of them in China, they still have what they have in America.
So there are folks that are looking to invest in America.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's what you're after.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mayor, what would you like to see happen?
Well, I think that, the partnerships that Purdue's already established are very important. These kids, it's funny. I live, everybody knows where I live. I live real close to Purdue, Knickerbocker Parkway. And I always thought, wow, look at those kids coming in here and buying houses and driving $60,000 cars, and they're kids. They're 19, 20-year-old kids. For them to buy a house on Knickerbocker Parkway is a drop in the bucket. For them to buy their kid a Land Rover, they're laughing. They're so wealthy, to pay for the cost of a Purdue education, which for I imagine international students probably $8,000 a year, nothing. They probably spent more to send their kid to high school than it is to go to Purdue in America. So what we need is, first off, the more partnerships we develop like that, the better off Hammond is for sure, because these kids are choosing Hammond as their home. And this EB-5 program, another person we took with us is Hammond's lobbyist down in Indianapolis, Joe Smith, who's also an attorney for Baker and Daniels. He was there on behalf of the EB-5 program, which is a path for naturalization for Chinese investors. And that's a program we're hitting hard. It is this program, and for them $1 million, which is what the required investment is through this federal, national, the United States program. $1 million for them is a drop in the bucket. And for them to get their green card is important. They could literally bring their family to America if they would invest enough here and create enough jobs.
It seems kind of odd that the Chinese government would let you guys go to China and tout the EB-5 program, which would basically be taking some of their citizens. Could Councilman Kalwinski take that very sensitive international topic?
Well, we had elected officials with us at every meeting, every presentation, sometimes on the bus with us traveling from one city to another.
Elected? Officials.
Yeah. From the party and from local cities. So at various state and local levels, we had officials with us at all times. They weren't threatened by us. You never got the sense of us being a threat to anything that they had to offer. They appeared to be interested in us to supplement what they already had and to benefit by what we do right. So education came up constantly, and I think the mayor should talk about our day, part of a day at Shahi School and the events that took place there. But along with that, interestingly enough, we never saw a boardroom. We never saw a CEO's office. Those kinds of places is not where business is conducted.
That's right.
Where business is conducted is around a round table with food. Because what their emphasis is in business is confidence in friendship with those they're working with and trust. And they learn that by interacting with you and breaking bread with you. It was an interesting bit of discovery on how business is conducted and what is important to their culture regarding having business done well.
All right, if you guys want to ask about China, 219-845-1100, the mayor's here.
Can I
Also,
echo
there's
what
Councilman Kalwinski.
and to echo what the councilman just said, and I think he's trying to be nice, another important part of their culture is alcohol. It's important. And, you know, I'm not a big drinker, but for them, Gombe, many Gombes, which is what we call cheers, which is drink everything in your cup. They say alcohol brings out the truth. And we say that in America as well, but Chinese businessmen, they want you to drink, and they want to drink with you, and they want to talk to you, and alcohol brings out the truth. And, you know, you can't hide your emotions if you drink enough. And what we were drinking with them is what us in America may call, I say Everclear. They call it white wine. Wow, it was not white wine.
A little more potent than white wine.
I think it would have caught on fire if you lit it.
So look for, by the way, if you, I just opened a line, so 219-845-1100, 219-845-1100. If you got a question for Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott or Councilman Kalwinski or a comment about their trip to China. So let's look forward. 3 or 4 years from now, what would you like to see as a fallout from this trip?
I'd like to see a significant investment in America. What we consider significant is what they consider an investment. I mean, if you're talking about a $100 million hospital project, for instance, which is some of the things that came up for them, not a big thing at all. Not a big thing at all. I mean, you have to understand we're talking.
Well, let's boil this down. I mean, how would that happen? I mean, would you guys be like a conduit between perhaps some Chinese folks and some local business-oriented companies or agencies, or does the state of Indiana coordinate that, or what happens?
That's the problem in our transactions is the cost of money and the ability to get money and to justify to our bankers why we need the money and whether it's a good investment for them. They have different motivations in China. They look at all these things, but they also look at if we satisfy certain requirements, we could get some of our students into their schools, we can get some of our family into America. So they have the added benefit of becoming naturalized citizens as well.
So I guess the crux of that is that, I mean, by building this bridge, are you saying that there might be some possible direct investment from China into Hammond companies?
Yes.
And then how would the Hammond companies that might be interested in that, how would they get involved in this?
Like one of the projects we talked about was something in the councilman's district was the hospital project, which is stalled out for lack of financing. Let's say, for instance, it was financed by a Chinese bank. The American company is still an American company. We're not putting a communist official in charge of it, obviously. But what we would be doing is sending our money to there to pay our mortgage, you know. So, but that project is stalled for lack of financing. So it was a perfect example for us to bring it up when we were in China.